Hey, Legal Shield family. This is your servant CEO, Jeff Bell, and it's time for 5 Minutes Strong. Today I'd like to talk about breaking bad habits. We all have them. Some of them we know particularly well, like we're smoking cigarettes. Maybe we're drinking too much alcohol. Sometimes we're eating inappropriately. We're eating food that we know is causing us to gain weight or to decrease our energy. We're couch potatoes, we're watching the boob tube. Maybe it's that we're living our life through others by, just trolling Facebook on and on. What can we do to try and, stop those bad habits and start to do different things in their place? Well, today I'd like to talk a little bit about Justin Brewer, who is a director of the Therapeutic Neuroscience Laboratory at the Center for Mindfulness in Medicine. This is a special program in healthcare and sociology at the University of Massachusetts Medical School. This gentleman, Mr. Brewer, is a author of a book called The Craving Mind: From Cigarettes to Smartphones to Love, Why We Get Hooked and How We Can Break Bad Habits. So let's take a quick review of some of the things that Mr. Brewer has shared. Well, he does a lot of work professionally with addictions. And so he said, how can we think of bad habits as we also think about addictions? Maybe they're related. And guess what? He found that indeed they were. One of the things that he wanted to try and conquer was helping people quit smoking. And amazingly, he had tremendous success. And the answer was in what he calls mindfulness. So how did mindfulness kick bad habits like smoking? Well, the first point is that you need to realize that, bad habits are coping, not fixing. This is an important statement. Let me say it again. Bad habits are coping, not fixing some underlying issue. You feel stressed. You're anxious. You might be sad. You're not feeling good. Naturally, you want to feel good, so you do something about it. And many times, unfortunately, that could be, a bad habit. It could be, getting a smoke, eating some ice cream, checking Facebook. So it's the same difference to the brain. Truly. I hate to say this, but a bad habit, whether you're on crystal meth or, you're just always watching television and not getting any exercise, to the brain, it doesn't know the difference, right? There's a trigger, and then you have a behavior and a reward. At least that's how the brain perceives it. So you've got to realize that any bad habit is simply coping with something else. It's a reflex. You're instinctively reacting, especially if you do the same bad habit over and over again. You're not thoughtfully responding, and this is the key. You're on autopilot. You're not in control. You're a puppet. So as soon as you realize that you're in control and that you're just coping and not fixing, now we can start to make a difference. Second thing then is to pay attention. Don't judge. This is really important. Notice what you're feeling and what are you worried about. For instance, if you're worried about being worried, all you are is super worried, right? By really watching what you do and noticing how you feel, you can start to realize that bad habits really, they're not helping to fix the problem. You don't really feel any better after you've eaten a gallon of ice cream or you've smoked a lot of cigarettes. The realization is the key. That's what will help to break the cycle. Third point, and this really gets into something that is known as RAIN, R-A-I-N. The first one is recognize. Recognize the bad habit. Dealing with something is quite hard if you don't realize that there's something there. So recognize that what you're doing probably isn't a good thing. Let's just recognize it. The second one is accept it. I know this sounds crazy, right? This doesn't mean give in, but accept that the craving is there. I crave trolling Facebook. I crave a drink. I crave, just chillaxing on the couch and flicking through television stations. Don't try and ignore it. Don't try and distract yourself. Don't even try and fight it, right? Accept it. Okay, and then do something in a small way, like, when you see it, maybe not. All right, Here we go. You know, when you reach for the ice cream, oh, here we go. Recognize it, accept it. The next part, the fifth point of this, is to investigate. Now, normally, you know, you deal with bad habits by trying to get away from them. Mindfulness strategy does not, exactly the opposite. You get curious. How does your body feel the moment you want to do the bad habit? How do you feel? You know, is your action really fixing however it is that you feel? Pay close attention. And then this is key. Note. Recognize, accept, investigate, and then note. Generally by taking notes, writing it down. When you give your feeling a name, your brain begins to calm down. You know, use a single word or a short phrase to label what it is that you're feeling and you're thinking. I have restlessness in my stomach. I'm having a rising sensation of anxiety. I've got a burning sensation. Write down how you feel before you have this craving to begin. Maybe you feel sadness or loneliness. Give it a name, write it down. Follow it though, one time. Follow it through until it subsides. If you get distracted, return to the investigation by repeating the question. What does my body feel like right now? If you can write it out until it is completely gone, then you know you're making progress. It sounds silly, but it's actually extremely powerful. You're using some bleeding edge neuroscience, quite frankly, that is extremely powerful. And note that reducing the impact of emotions is key. The craving will subside, trust me. It'll be hard at first, but with the time, it will float away just like any other thought, good or bad, eventually does. So recognize, accept, investigate, and note how you feel. Write it down in detail. And then try and write it out. If you can't at first, that's okay, but just keep returning to it. How do I feel? Describe it. And what you'll recognize is that, you know, these bad habits, they're not fixing whatever it is that's really bothering you. And so then once you get rid of the bad habits, we'll have the time and the energy maybe to get down to doing some real self-improvement. Well, that's RAIN. And I think that it will help you stop some bad habits, and let's get back into the positive. That's 5 Minutes Strong, and I want you to know that my name is Jeff Bell. And trust me, I'm just getting started, because at Legal Shield we know that together, truly by being together, supporting and loving each other, we know that the best is yet to come.